Knox, Brad Pitt's lookalike son, scores a big win on his 17th birthday, but his father's absence speaks louder than words. Knox Jolie-Pitt, the son who bears an uncanny resemblance to Brad Pitt, smiled brightly as he celebrated a major Muay Thai victory on his 17th birthday. But what should have been a sacred moment of father-son connection turned instead into a painful reminder of the emotional distance that now defines their relationship. Brad Pitt, once the face of fatherly warmth and charm in Hollywood, was nowhere to be seen, despite his son's milestone achievement. The immediate question that surfaces is, what truly kept a father away from his son's defining moment? Was it professional commitments, or the relentless legal warfare with Angelina Jolie that has dragged on for years? Or deeper still, was this absence a symbol, a quiet but piercing signal, that their bond has been irreparably fractured by time, conflict, and unhealed wounds? While Knox stood tall beside his trainers, proudly displaying his medal and white mouthguard, there was one striking absence in the crowd: Brad Pitt. Meanwhile, Angelina Jolie, ever the steady, loyal mother dressed in all black, stood in the background, quietly cheering him on. She didn't give a press statement or pose for headlines. Her presence alone was enough. And perhaps more importantly, Brad Pitt's absence said even more. This birthday wasn't just about turning 17. It was a shared celebration with his twin sister, Vivienne. And yet, it also marked something far more sobering: the public confirmation of a broken relationship between a father and his children. A man once celebrated for his golden heart is now, in the eyes of many, a distant figure, slowly fading from the emotional landscape of the very family he helped build. At the same time, Pitt remains locked in a bitter legal dispute with Jolie over Château Miraval, a once idyllic symbol of their love, now reduced to a battlefield of NDAs, breach of contract claims, and allegations surrounding past abuse. These court filings may seem technical, but at their core lies something far more personal: a war over trust, control, and the right to remain in the lives of their children. Knox, at 17, has proven his strength not just in physical combat but in resilience. He stood under the spotlight without the validation of a father's hand on his shoulder. He smiled anyway, fought anyway, triumphed anyway. And in doing so, his quiet strength only made Pitt's absence more painful. Not just for the boy, but for anyone who once believed in Brad Pitt as a devoted father. What really happened between Brad Pitt and his children? Why have the kids he once carried in his arms grown up to face life's milestones without him? And is there still time to repair the damage? Or have the years of legal wars, painful memories, and silence pushed things past the point of return? In the next chapters, we'll trace the deeper cracks, from the moments Pitt was missing in his children's lives, to the quiet role Jolie has assumed as the emotional anchor amid Hollywood chaos. Because behind the polished photos lie fractures, and behind one boy's 17th birthday win may be a childhood forever altered. Brad Pitt's strained relationship with his children deepens despite his attempts at reconnection. Knox's athletic victory comes in the shadow of a deeper, more painful reality: the growing emotional distance between Brad Pitt and his children. Recent reports revealed that Pitt was eager to reconnect with his twins, Knox and Vivienne, ahead of their milestone 17th birthday, but those efforts ultimately failed. Despite his intentions, the tense relationship between the actor and his children shows little sign of healing. Some of the children have publicly distanced themselves, in the most symbolic and personal way, by dropping Pitt from their last names. Zahara, Vivienne, and Shiloh have all made this quiet but powerful statement, with Shiloh legally removing Pitt when she turned 18 in 2024. Another child, Pax, made headlines for his scathing Father's Day post in 2020, where he called Brad Pitt a world-class a-hole and placed the blame for the family's collapse squarely on him. It was not just a teenager's outburst. It was a reflection of years of pain, anger, and emotional fallout from behind the closed doors of a once idolized Hollywood family. Despite his fame, despite his image, and despite reported attempts to reconcile, Pitt's role in the lives of his children appears to be receding, not by force, but by choice. Their choice. And perhaps that, more than any public statement, is the loudest message of all. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the Château Miraval legal feud. When a love story becomes a battlefield and a family fractures before the public eye, a years-long legal battle between what was once Hollywood's most powerful couple, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie is not only strangling any final hope of post-divorce reconciliation, but also laying bare the profound emotional damage they've inflicted on one another and on their children. At the center of this conflict is not a heart, but a chateau. Château Miraval, the $64 million French estate that once symbolized love, now reduced to the most bitter battlefield in their unraveling legacy. Even as Brad Pitt reportedly tries to reconnect with his children, who have increasingly distanced themselves from him, his post-divorce relationship with Jolie continues to spiral into complex, toxic legal warfare. Since Jolie filed for divorce in 2019 after 5 years of marriage, one of the fiercest points of contention has been the fate of Château Miraval, not just a shared estate, but a winery Pitt poured years of passion into. In 2021, Jolie sold her share to billionaire Uri Scheffler, owner of SPI Group, a move Pitt considered not just a breach of contract, but a deeply personal betrayal of their agreement to seek mutual consent before selling. That sale triggered a relentless legal offensive. Pitt accused Jolie of violating their agreement and sought access to her private communications, believing they would prove that the sale was deliberate and punitive. He even attempted to depose Alexei Olenek, a key figure in the Jolie Group deal. But those efforts failed. Yet the legal fight took on a far more explosive dimension when the issue of silence became central. Jolie's legal team claimed Pitt had refused to buy her stake in the winery unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. According to her filings, the NDA wasn't about business. It was, in her words, a silencing mechanism meant to prevent her from speaking out about alleged abuse. The most troubling reference? A 2016 private jet incident in which Pitt was accused of verbal and physical aggression toward Jolie and their children. Though authorities investigated and chose not to file charges, the damage within the family was already done. In a dramatic legal turn, a judge in May 2024 ordered Jolie to produce 8 years' worth of NDA-related documents, seeking to determine whether she herself had previously used such agreements. Meanwhile, sources close to Pitt painted Jolie's 2021 sale as a calculated move to hurt him. Brad built an extraordinary, increasingly valuable business, and she deliberately chose to disregard their agreement, one insider told People magazine. From a once idyllic love story to a slow, cold war waged through legal filings and emotional landmines, the real question is, where does this end? What does Jolie want? What is Pitt really fighting for? And more importantly, what are their children enduring as the collateral damage of a battle no one truly wins? A source close to Jolie told People that the actress hopes Pitt will finally move on for the family's sake. Although the former couple reportedly reached a divorce settlement last year, the Miraval lawsuit remains unresolved. Sadly, until he drops this lawsuit, this family will not have the peace and healing they so very much desire and deserve, the source added. Pitt, for his part, has recently begun opening up about his emotional struggles. Friends say the divorce has weighed heavily on him for years. He loved her, and he knows he made mistakes, an insider told Us Weekly. It was a divisive, toxic situation that controlled his life for far too long. And perhaps that's the truest tragedy of all. Two people who once built a life, a brand, around the image of eternal love, now dismantling it piece by piece through bitterness, control, and silence. Château Miraval isn't just real estate. It's the broken symbol of what they had and what they've lost.